like to invite on stage moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Douglas Perez, CEO and co-founder at AdStream. Sir co-founded AdStream in Singapore, a media company that does advertising over Wi-Fi networks. Sir also founded eVision Asia to provide sales and channel enablement training to technology companies to improve the effectiveness and performance of their sales teams and their channels. Previously, Sir has worked as a consultant with foreign companies establishing themselves in Singapore in the areas of territory and account planning and business development. Sir has been featured in the Asian Entrepreneur magazine and has previously built and sold 2 technology companies. Now an entrepreneur, Sir holds an expertise in running regional operations of global technology and telecommunication companies. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Prasanna Jha, CEO and co-founder at YoApp. With more than 11 years of product development experience, Sir started his entrepreneurial journey in the mobile application development industry. Sir is an expert in app design and architecture, algorithm, data structure, design pattern for mobile apps. Sir holds a rich experience in gathering and documenting requirements, developing project plans, managing and tracking project executions, designing prototypes, and assisting with usability testing, developing and executing test scenarios. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Indraneel Datta, Insights Director at IMRB International. Sir is a chemical engineer with a post-graduation in management and has more than 12 years of experience across market research and intelligence in consumer and B2B domain in ICT sector. Currently, Sir leads the technology research practice team in IMRB Bangalore. Sir has a team of researchers working with him as a part of the team. Sir and his team has successfully anchored several industry researches in the area of technology, including studies on IT hardware, software, services, enterprise business, etc. Prior to joining IMRB, Sir has worked in companies like IDC and IBM. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Vikas Sharma, Country Director at Neo Mobile. Sir has 18 years of experience in telecom, media, and IT organizations with competencies in pre-sales, consulting, VAS, product and business management. Sir has worked for multiple organizations in marketing, strategy, and product management functions and has been engaged in various assignments with external consultancy firms. Presently, Sir is working at Neo Mobile Group as Country Director. Sir manages P&L for VAS services and m-commerce business for India. Sir is in charge of planning, directing, managing, and overseeing the complete business and sales operations in India. Sir also drives the sales of entertainment and commerce services in D2C model through mobile carriers and merchants. Sir's specialty lies in procuring content, apps, and media inventory from various partners for Indian and global needs. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. Our next esteemed panelist is Mr. Arjun Rajagopalan, Director, Financial Advisory Services, Deloitte, India. Sir has spent 11 years in telecom domain across the value chain in mobile, fixed line, broadband, carrier, enterprise services, OEM, passive infrastructure, VAS, and system integration domains in various geographies like India, Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Sir has a rich experience along several service lines such as risk, strategy and operations consulting, IT consulting, forensic, etc. At Deloitte India, Sir is responsible to institutionalize telecom practice within financial advisory services for capability development, solution development, and go-to-market strategies. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15.
Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Bharat Vadhva, CEO at Twine Digital. Sir is a digital evangelist with a proven track record of building and growing various internet and mobile businesses. Sir has in-depth experience of digital marketing and several innovative new launches to his credit. Sir is the receiver of a Business Growth Driver Award under the Innovative VAS category. His expertise lies in delivering integrated marketing solutions to clients on digital and mobile technologies. Sir has recently deployed Flytext first mobile advertising and marketing platform in Bangladesh. Digital marketing, mobile marketing, VAS marketing, and cross-promotion have been Sir's major areas of work. Sir, SITM welcomes you to Communiqué15. May I now request the moderator, Mr. Douglas Perez, to please preside over the discussion.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is going to be fun. We've got a great panel here. We did have a little bit of a talk over lunch. Most of us did. But firstly, Professor Sunil, Professor Avanesh, Organising Committee, thank you very much for inviting me back here again. I was here as a speaker in 2012, and I can tell you I'm genuinely thrilled to be back. So I'm really happy to be back here. I'd like to thank the panel. This is a great topic. So we wanted this to be fun. You want to hear something fun before we finish off? Great. So we'll do our real best not to put any pressure under the panelists. We've already lost Satyam from Flipkart. Unfortunately, he had a flight to take. And depending how long we go, a couple of us might be saying adios before the end, but hopefully we will finish on time. So introduction to the topic, revolutionizing digital. We're not talking here about the digital revolution. Who thought we were talking about the digital revolution? Oh, come on. Okay. We're talking about revolutionizing digital. It's shifting the paradigm. We're already in digital. You heard in the pre-introductions about mobile ads. I think we skipped a little bit on IoT, but social. So all those things seem to make up things that actually now impact us. We're talking more on the consumerism side, the individual side, the human side, and but we can't get away from the things that have enabled that. From my experience in my years in telco and in the media, digital media, I see three things. Whether they're problems or situations or issues, there are three things which I see common. Firstly is that Wi-Fi is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. Wi-Fi is everywhere, right? Whether you're on holiday, whether you're here I was using somebody's Wi-Fi here, on planes there are Wi-Fi, and you have to ask yourself, why do people who provide the Wi-Fi provide it? Because it costs them money every month to do it. So why do they do it? There must be a reason. So I see that. Number two is that everybody, just about, has a phone. And there's no more price gap now between feature phones and smartphones, and so the mobile phone is now the most connected device in the world, and it's on us. The other thing is, from a marketing and branding perspective, which is what we will hope to focus on today, is there are tons of brands and advertisers who are dying to get in front of you through the phone, through whatever means, whether you like it or not. Which brings me to the third point. People tell me that they don't like to get ads on their mobile phones. That may be true. But the things that they do like when they receive it, they haven't perceived as ads because of the way it's been pushed and marketed to them. But it's been an ad. So that's been some of the changes. So with that, some of the things we'll talk about today in terms of how these things impact you are things like the digital marketing, the technology, analytics, which people know about you, What are the challenges and trends we can expect to see? What are people doing right? And what are the impediments to progress? So I'd like to start off basically to see how does technology enable these digital strategy imperatives. So I'd like to ask Inrad to give me your views on, just briefly, on where you see that.
So if you see that, obviously, like any other thing, technology has acted as an enabler for digitalization as well. If you see that last 10 or 15 years back in 2000 or 2002, when you talk about the marketer communicating to the customer, it was largely with traditional media. One is print media, that is newspaper, magazine, and the other hand side, it's what you call as audiovisual media, that is radio and television. But in true way, the digital media comes into picture with PC and notebook when it came into picture, let's say 10 to 15 years back, when the marketers have started marketing through that. Till 2010, we see that the huge growth in PC market, it was growing leaps and bounds. But from then, 2010 to 2015, the PC market has grown just from 9 million to 10 million change. That means that market is settling down. So for marketer, it's no more relevant, or I would say it's no more important to only focus on PC or notebook part of it. But on the contrary, if you see the mobile market, it is in 2010, probably the mobile user base was 9 million, and the current size of the market is some 109 million or so. So it's all the more important for the marketer to target mobile as a digital marketing strategy for them. Otherwise, you can't reach to the customer. And obviously, the rural market comes into place, everyone in rural as well. With 60 million internet user in rural, mobile internet as 45 million is for them, for the marketer to reach over there. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you can't reach them. So there has been not only a paradigm shift has happened, but the thing is, it has an addition of a lot of things which has affected the marketer and which has for which the marketer has thought that we have to impact the market only if we go the mobile way.
Great, thank you. Prasanna, your company Yo in entrepreneur.com was quoted as surprisingly dumb to seriously useful just a few months ago. Tell us how technology changed your company to enable where you are today.
See, mine is not that UAP, it's a different UAP, it's a Make in India UAP, but then it's quite useful and quite cool as that UAP. So you want me to know about this application? Or?
Well, in terms of how your humble beginnings
Okay.
to yeah, from your humble beginnings to where you become a great aggregator.
Okay. Yeah, so it was not planned. It happened something like that. After 10 years of my work, I thought better to move into something which is less navigated or less traveled area. But at that time, I came to know that mobile is going to come. Mobile is going to change this world. And one thing I found, that what application we are using on desktop and what application we are going to use on mobile, that would be totally different. Every night, I explored a lot of applications. And there was nothing to do with desktop. Desktop application was totally different. At that time, one or two applications, funny application, mosquito repeller. You can use this mobile as mosquito repeller also. You can't imagine this will come on desktop. So I realized that, okay, this world is different. Though technically or technology-wise, it's emerging from electronics or something like that, but use point of view is going to be different. Then I found that okay, what mobile can provide and what desktop can't. It's about chatting capability, like communication capability. Mobile is for communication before anything else. So that was the first thing. Apart from this, mobile, we carry mobile everywhere, and it's having location detection capability also. So from there, my journey started. This is an application about hyperlocal social networking application. Wherever you are going, it will detect location. It will give the list of people with whom you can seamlessly communicate. So location and communication, we try to make them together through this application, and that is our effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance to look up the February edition of entrepreneur.com, it's a great little article. I enjoyed reading it. How about we hear from the consultants about technology? Arjun?
So, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, from my perspective, what we've seen is that I think that the evolution of digital has been more driven by how you interpret digital or technology. The classic example is that probably 20 years back or even 15 years back, when you talk about technology, it is something which is more meant for intelligent guys. What I mean is that somebody who's worked on Lotus, who's C++ or C or C Sharp, he's supposed to be the guy who's supposed to be technologically enabled or probably technology capable. Now, my father was one of the classic example of that case where he was in RAW, and he was the guy who had probably invented something around 8086, and he used to take a lot of pride around that while he was still struggling with the laptops. So, and today my daughter, who's like 2 years old, she's completely comfortable with what she does on her iPad. Now, if you look at the entire example that I'm trying to quote, is the fact that the moment the technology became something which is more intuitive, there was an explosion in digital market. And this is predominantly determined by the fact that the technology which is now supporting you is something which is much more easy to work with. It is not something which is complex, where you need to go start putting certain codes to it and then start accessing it. It's something you just need to click and you start having access to whatever you want to as an entertainment. So that is something which actually changed this world of digital transformation. So that is the first change which has happened. The second thing which I wanted to probably put it here is also the relevance of the target segment. So especially from a consulting point of view, and especially from an operator perspective, what was important is that we start giving you something which is more relevant to you. The digital technology enables me to do that. So earlier, if there is an ad, the ad will come on the TV and everybody is forced to see it. If they don't want to see it, there's no option. So therefore, you turn blind to it over a period of time because you get to see everything which is there, which may be relevant, which may not be relevant. And if you're actually interested, you need to be there at that particular point in time to see it, right? So what digital technology or transformation does is that, one, it gives me an option of seeing it whatever time that I want to see it. So if I'm free at 8:30, I'll see the same serial. If I'm free at 11:30, I may see the same serial at 11:30. So that's the change that it has done. Second thing is it actually gives me an option of opting in or opting out. So if I don't want to receive it, if it is targeted, I'll not get that particular message. So therefore, my informed decision about whom do I want to give this particular message to is driven by the data analytics which supports it. And therefore, I'm giving him in a medium which he actually likes and he does not find it intrusive. So today, if I start sending you 100 SMSs, you'll stop seeing those SMSs. But if I start giving you something which is relevant to you at a time when you're actually checking your SMS or whatever channel you're talking about, and if I give you in a non-intrusive format, for example, something which is like a pop-up when you're actually looking at a video, is what something which you're trying to do now, and therefore it is actually catching up more in terms of acceptance and acknowledgement. Classic example is today we are sitting here as a part of our panel, and we are discussing about some topic which half of you may be interested and half of you may not be. So the people who are not interested here are sleeping here actually. So this is a broadcast. Had I made it more digital, people would have been more interested, would be looking through it, and the rest of the guys probably would have walked back at home. So that's the difference I'm talking about. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Bharat. I guess the technology is pervasive. It's an analysis. It's a given. How do you see that the role of technology changes in the marketing from the mobile side? You know, I mean, your company Twine is a great example of embracing all of that. So give us your views on where you see the increasing role of technology.
Sure. I would like to answer this question in a different style altogether. since hold the responsibility of the marketer, and I believe, half the students sitting in the hall is doing marketing. Am I right? Can you raise up the hands who are doing marketing here? All are marketers. Most of them are marketers. Okay. So what we as a marketer believe that, we have to be one step ahead of the learning curve. If we don't come out with an innovative solution, customer will not engage with us, brand will not be able to sell their product. So that's one of the biggest challenge we have. And on the contrary, we all know as a consumer, as a user, we consume all kind of data. Whether you are getting up in the morning, reading a newspaper, checking emails, listening radio, maybe you're watching a bit of TV, going out, pubbing, partying with the friends, seeing outdoors, writing emails to the friends, social networking, SMS, voice call, all those stuff. Whether marketer wants it or not, this is the user behavior. Especially, if I talk about the youth, because our country is a young country, so all of us has the same behavior. So as a marketer, it is very, very important for us to find out where exactly my consumer is. I want to tap the consumer at the right place, right time, and the right environment. There was a time when we used to put our money on the newspaper. We have taken 5 newspapers as a media planner. Ad was seen by the people. We don't even know which newspaper is working for us, which is not working for us. So whatever the amount we were spending for the client, half the money was getting wasted. Then comes into desktop part, where we had around 40-50 million of users initially in the early 2000, and now we all are talking about mobile. Mobile is a big buzzword all across because of the millions of apps all across the world, content getting exposed to us. It is again a very, very difficult task for the marketer like us. So thought, why not collaborate with the technology? Now we have a technology which can actually give us the insight, and we can use this insight and get our audience. I'll give a small example. Unilever, we all know the Unilever brand. They have a hair care brand. They wanted to spend good amount of money on the hair care brand up in, I think, 2012, 2013. So the brief we got from them, we want to reach out to the right people and we want to be ahead of the learning curve and tell us what we can do. It was a very, very difficult task for all of us. When we tried searching data, we was amazed. We found 11 billion searches took place on Google only for hair care. But we can't decode anything. What do we do with these 11 billion searches? Shall we go and straight away put our money on the Google search and wait for the result? No. What we did, we installed big data. We tied up with the Google and we asked Google to give us the behavior of those 11 billion searches. We got all the data, then we started doing the pre-marketing. Have you heard about the concept of pre-marketing? Anyone? Pre-tagging? No one. So pre-marketing means, once you have a data in your hand, you wanted to, customize your product before it goes to the market and anticipate the behavior of user and give that product to the customer on the go. With the help of this thing, we end up making a channel on the YouTube by the name of All Things Here. And the result was phenomenal. We end up making lots of case studies in a different part of the world. And this thing was not possible without the help of the technology. There are many examples which I can share with you later on during the course of action. But yes, today, technology is one of the key partner in our day-to-day life, whether it's a technology in the mobile phone, or data connection, or anything you talk about. It's very difficult to survive without the technology, whether it's a desktop, mobile, or any domain.
Thanks. I think it's important to realize, even from this morning, that where brands used to influence consumers, consumers are now influencing brands. And a lot of that is being picked up through social media analytics, right? Which kind of brings me nicely to the next, to see if Vikas can give us a little bit of your views on, what is the holy grail of social media analytics?
As a social media analytics as a topic is quite simple because we can understand it on an everyday basis. We do Facebooks, we do Yahoos, we do WhatsApp, and many more of such tools. The challenge that comes handy is how does the service provider, the team that is offering you Facebook, the team that is offering you LinkedIn, the team that's offering you WhatsApp, whatever they are collecting, which is the transactions, the messages, the views, the impressions that all of us make, that piece of data is the big chunk of data to study. And if a team of employees in these companies start reading that data, they would take their lifetime to understand what it takes. And that's where the elements of big data comes in. The devices, the tools, the scientific instruments, mix of hardware and software elements, that lets the marketers in these companies understand what are people using these applications for. And then after the life of marketers begin, I repeat, that's where the life of marketer begins, because now he wants to understand the utility of this product and he wants to understand what else I can incrementally offer, how can I improve the life, and lastly, how do I monetize all that I have invested in. Hence, in short, social media elements are bringing us together. It's changing our life, the way we interact with each other, the way we communicate with each other. I would say, for that matter, all digital products are changing the life we do, the way we interact with them. But in terms of data analytics, I would say that they are reading, these tools are reading the minds, the habits, the usage behavior, your eyeball behavior on variety of screens, your key presses on variety of screens, and then deriving analysis out of it. So if you would get to see an ad, a film ad on a hoarding on the street, you don't get bothered about it because no one has asked you. But when you get to see an ad on your mobile phone, you have concerns. Why am I seeing so many ads every now and then? If someone is trying to put in an effort, trying to use his or her brain to figure out your usage habits and put across the relevant ads. So I think it's a task that's work in progress, and in a couple of years you will get to see ads which are more relevant to you. That's, in short, I would say, what kind of analytics is happening in the background.
Great, thanks. I think that's a really important point, as I alluded to before. If you are sitting at the airport and you receive something on the Wi-Fi about an offer at the duty-free shop, and you walk in and you complete the transaction, and you receive an offer, there's not for a second have you thought that you would push an ad. If you were somewhere else, or say you were at the airport and you got an ad for SITM, you'd be saying, what are these guys doing? Why am I getting this, right? So I guess the insights, and we have, fortunately, we have an insights director. So give us your insights on analytics, Indranil.
Yeah. So analytics has, I would say in India, is it, although it's a nascent stage, but at the same time, from earlier to now, it has come a long way as well. For example, let's say when you are trying to book your air tickets, we generally don't buy on the first instance. We try to track 4 days, 5 days. But have you ever noticed that if you are tracking for 4 and 5 days, then sometimes you see there is a sudden jump in the air ticket. But on the other hand side, let's say if Vikas is also tracking, for him, the same flight would be showing the different ticket price. What does it mean? That someone at the back end trying to analyze that this guy is trying to book a air ticket, and that's why they artificially inflate the price. So that is a simple example of how the analytics is working. On the other hand side, let's say we do regular shopping through various websites or apps like, let's say, Myntra, Flipkart, and all. Now, the thing is, you tend to see the kind of advertisement that comes to you is different from others. What does it mean? That someone at the back trying to target you or as an audience, that this is something personalized to use very specifically. So this is how the analytics is going forward. And The way moving, we may see more personalized analytics as far as the marketer is concerned, so that because mobile is such a device that which is with you for the 24 hours probably. And the way you can target, a marketer can target you is probably the easiest way or the more targeted way. So, and to do that, you need to do a lot of analytics at the back end.
You're right. I mean, certainly targeted advertising is valuable because advertisers will pay more for less wastage. So as Bharat talked about before, you know, what was the part that we didn't know was being wasted? That led to that 50% of our advertising budget is being wasted. We just don't know which 50%. So the targeting is certainly a huge step from a marketer's perspective, right?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, nowadays things have changed. I mean, if I waste 50% of my client's money, I'll lose my job immediately. Okay.
Right.
So now, I mean, I just want to add what, Indranil said. I mean, when he's talking about somebody's at the back end watching you, that analytics, everything is work with lots of algorithm. And again, big data plays a huge role. Like, we all know, like, suppose he's my friend, he bought a car, I'll end up buying the almost same model of the car. Because we are friends, our tastes are almost similar, okay? So most of the time we found that whatever my friend is buying or whatever my friend is recommending to me, we end up buying the same stuff. Here comes in picture Facebook. Facebook, yeah. So basically, what Facebook allows, we all are posting various information Facebook, whether our photograph, whether our video, chatting, maybe, we may post, okay, we are sitting in SITM conference and all. What happened? Each and everything is getting recorded at the back end, which was been crawled by the normal crawler made by the Facebook or the other social media companies. And they gives us an option to a marketer like us to target the specific people. For example, if we have a campaign where we need to target, let's say, people who are the age group of 18 to 25, who are already MBA, staying in Pune, maybe 1 kilometer vicinity of the SITM, or people who have bought XYZ stuff in the last 1 month or so. Those kind of targeting is already available because we all are doing lots of activity on social media, normal search places, coupons, everywhere. Everything is getting tracked by the different crawlers because we put cookies on the system, whether it's a mobile or a desktop or it's a laptop or maybe you're browsing internet from your TV as well. Everything gets tracked and we capture the behavior and we showcase the ads which are relevant to you. That's how the entire analytics and the big data comes into the picture and marketer puts their money where exactly the right audience is. So we don't show nowadays our ad to the audience which is not relevant for the particular campaign.
Great, thanks. Prasanna, I want to go back to you because you focused on a single platform, the mobile. Do you see, given that there's a lot of talk about sending the same message on multi-platform, how do you see Yo and your company's directions on multi-platform versus single mobile? Do you have a view of that?
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, it's depend upon a market, which market you are capturing, what is the target customer you are having. So for us, for this application, it was inherently mobile application, mobile first as well as mobile last application. We can't replicate it into desktop or something like that because it's related to location, it's related to communication. So it's very conveniently available on mobile and it's not on desktop as far as location detection is concerned because you don't carry desktop or laptop for that region everywhere and you don't open the laptop everywhere to do the thing. So multi-platform is very much required. But one thing you should have to keep in mind that if technology is one thing. Apart from this, if user is more on one type of platform, first you should make this stable. Because I am product guy, so I would more focus on that area only. First, you should focus to make this this application or make this product stable on that particular platform. Once people will come and they will feel comfortable on that platform, then you can go to multiple platform also. Technology-wise, there is no problem. But then if you are not targeting, if you are not making some product, means your product requirement is something like that, it will not going to work if you will take approach of multiple platform in the very beginning. Then that you should decide that, okay, first I will make it for like one, let's say Android OS, and once it will work there, then I will go for other platform also. Because there is a lot of restriction there. Starting is very rosy. You will find, okay, means it's working everywhere. I'm having a lot of tools. It will work everywhere. Let's start like that. But when you will be in deep into this thing, application development, then you will find that, okay, I made the mistake. Because a lot of things are not, a lot of things are missing on different platforms. Something tool are missing on different platforms. It's like that. So better you should go for one platform at a time, then you can replicate. Yeah, and if it is successful on one platform, then believe me, you won't have to do anything. It will, cost-wise, it will less, because I'm an entrepreneur, so I will take this into factor. You won't have to put your effort. It will go like that, means development on other platform will be as easy as, means it will be very easy. And you won't have to put effort for that, because team will work this, because it's already successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Hey, Vikas, your company is got a responsibility for promoting apps out into the consumer. How do you see them having to, what challenges do the app developers that you discuss, do you discuss with them what challenges they having to how they market themselves, or did they come to you with a particular marketing strategy and you've had to change them? Do you have to do things differently? Can you give us a view of marketing? You know, what brands are doing differently now?
Yes, application developers and content providers connect with us and we reach out to them to help them sell. But then that's easier said than done. For an app developer who's put in his heart, his coding skills, his UI, his understanding into an application, he wishes to be a millionaire the next day. And monetization of app becomes a challenge because the way the application developer has perceived, it is important that the end customers of different genres also see the app the same way, because that's the target market who's going to pay for it, or if not pay, at least monetize in some other way. So first, we help them to ensure that the flow of the application is user-friendly, which is easier said than done. Which means the number of screens, the number of clicks, the amount of time a user spends on the app to get what he or she wants as minimal as possible. And then that's like 2 or 3 minutes of his time to help him take a decision to move further into next screen or exit out. The choice is with the customer. So as a result, whatever has to be done in the app has to be done upfront before launching. 2, when the app is done and we feel the app is done, we have little role. It's the application developer who's got a job to do. He then comes up to monetize it and sell it either through app stores or through alternate channels. We all hear a lot about app stores, but it's important for you to understand that applications that are downloaded from app stores versus applications that people get to discover when they are doing whatever they are doing, which means they are on Google, Yahoo, whatever, they get to see some creatives. The ratio is 10:90. And that's important for you to realize that every one of us, the average consumer, does not go to the app store and keep finding from millions of apps that are there. Discovery of the app is a critical element, and that's where marketers help them, a user, to find what is like. And as the discussion was happening earlier, the relevance to the taste of customer is what I look at before showing him the relevant product. And relevance is a very generic word. The impact of relevance comes from over 40 parameters to help us figure out what could be the intent of the customer. His handset, his operating system, his current location, the previous publishers he has read, any historic purchases, etc., etc. That helps us to determine what kind of thing a customer would land up buying it. So in terms of monetization of apps, that's how we help them. Last, in terms of challenges, anything which is developed, and if you ask some app developer to make some changes, there's a cost, there's an effort, and there is a de-risking strategy that has to be worked upon. What if that particular logic, that particular flow doesn't work? Who's going to bear losses? And lastly, in terms of challenges, the cost of doing digital marketing depends on two factors. There are many factors, but two key factors. First, when I'm buying an inventory cost, I'm buying the inventory cost from Mr. Google's, Yahoo, VServe, InMobi, and many more ad networks. The prices change every minute. If I buy an inventory worth crores today, it will no longer be holding valid after 1 hour. The prices would have changed and I would stop getting traffic. So the complexity between the actual places where traffic is being generated and what I am buying, there are multiple layers in between. So that's challenge number one. The challenge number two is, what's the additional information I, as a marketer, is getting from the ad network or from the telcos that helps me to do a more targeted campaigns. Example, if there's a prepaid customer who's got 20 rupees balance in the account, if that information is known to me through an API which the telecom operator releases, my cost of doing marketing reduces, which I can definitely pass to the end customer. So those are two challenges that have come across while marketing.
Thanks, Vikas. That's a really interesting stat that 90% of apps aren't downloaded from the App Store or the Play Store or Toy Shop or what that's called. Who's tweeting? That's a good stat to tweet, and I'll retweet it when I see that. Great, thanks, guys. We don't have much time left, so I just want to move into something which I think is interesting, is looking into the future. So I want to know from you, Arjun, what you think that top companies are doing right in terms of mobile, social, digital. You know, what do you see are trends, and what do you think people are doing right today?
Okay, the mobile.
Yeah, in the mobile advertising, in the digital strategies.
So essentially, just probably break it up into two parts. I think we've discussed it earlier as well, so I'll probably reiterate some of it. So two parts is the first part is the mobile operator, the traditional mobile operators. And then the next part is the new age players who are like app developers, and then some companies like your e-commerce, Flipkarts, and m-commerce, right? So all these new companies, they have a fresh start, which means that they actually know how to leverage this particular mobile advertising space more. They also know how to make use of the digital world more because they are more evolved. If you look at the average age of the people also who are starting up these companies, they're much more attuned to this kind of social networking as well as the new mobile, smartphone-based places. The traditional telecom companies, they face a problem. So the traditional telecom companies have been there sitting on a large volumes of data, essentially coming out of their mobile usage, which can be your CDRs, IMEIs, and the rest of the KYC details that they have. Having said that, have they leveraged to the end effect? They have not managed to do it to a large extent, but they've started realizing it now, and they've also started to move towards the social networking stage as well. So they've started their own campaigns on the Facebook as well. They've started their own pages as well on the Facebook. Apart from that, they've also taken initiatives of probably hiring people like him to do a lot of advertising on the particular space. And also the fact that they have deployed what you call as search engines now, because they have all scattered applications in place, which has different sets of information which are not talking to each other. So instead of trying to bring them into one platform and analyze it and then put them into a structure, which was the traditional way of doing things, what they've done is that they've put something like a search engine, which is very similar to say Google. Instead of Google in the internet, it's a Google within their own system to go back and start searching for information that is more relevant to them and pull them to make sense in terms of what should they campaign, how they can campaign. So that's one thing which you have done. The other thing is obviously they've gone into the social analytics space to do a sentiment analysis. So any product that they launch today, they typically do a sentiment analysis on that. So for example, if they say that this particular app sucks, so they'll start using the word sucks and then start looking at the entire social media platform to know that where all this kind of information is being there. And similarly, they also use it for something like for example, if there's a free USSD or a free GPRS connection which is there due to some design flaw, they're able to search it using the Google Analytics or probably some other analytics tool to go back and find out who is talking about a free application and any kind of a gap in my product. So that's something which with the traditional telecom operators have started doing it. The last thing which is very important, which has started to happen now, is the solutions around the IoT, which I think some of you have done a research work and shown me something today as well. So that's an interesting space which has been jointly worked out between the operator as well as some of the new players, where they're looking at anything which is a utility, it's actually selling now. So your healthcare, your M2N, your anything to do with your security, especially with your girl chain and other things, and then your something like your logistics is something which has been seriously worked out by the operator themselves, and they're saying they're trying to tie up with the new age vendors to know that how they can operate in this IoT space and keep that space with them rather than being only a courier. So that's something that they've seriously started to consider as a part of the new digital initiatives.
Great, thanks. Baran, from your perspective, what do he's got tons of case studies, tons of examples. He was so excited when we were discussing this. Maybe you can give us one or two examples of where you see companies are doing the right things and they're heading in the right direction that you think are success.
Sure. See, today the biggest challenge for the company, as my fellow colleague rightly pointed out, to find out the app. Okay, we all are talking about the application, mobile and all. The biggest problem, and this is the shelf life of the app, is 60 to 90 days. After that, consumer immediately goes and delete the app. So whatever the dollar has been spent by the client, it goes for waste immediately. So what the company has started doing it now, they have started doing the collaboration. Like in IoT space, we're talking about the wearable devices, Apple Watches, all these guys. So they're collaborating and clubbing things together, not only with each other, plus also with the different app like WhatsApp, fitness band, iPhones of the world, all those things are getting clubbed together so that they can get the more and more robust insight and the better shelf life. As of now, if I tell you, the biggest challenge for all these guys are to retain their app in the customer's mobile phone and get more data so that they can target the people at the right place.
Great, thanks. Okay, we're nearly up, so let's get the last word from the research company in terms of trends.
So in terms of trends, what we see that obviously and I will add upon what you have mentioned again, what the companies are doing right. In terms of that, I would say that all the apps, downloads and everything that is happening and will eventually take place. But for that, the basic thing is what is required from the telecom service provider is speed of the internet. Today, if you see that the base of 3G needs to be increased, and the 4G also, it's come into picture, and has to be a wide reach of 4G that needs to be ensured by the telcos. That is number one. Number two, what is probably the companies are doing right is targeting the rural. Until and unless, there are 60 million, as I've mentioned earlier, there are 60 million mobile internet users as far as rural market is concerned. If you don't target that audience, your marketing campaign will not be a success at a broad level. Yes, there would be different product, there would be different target segment, but if you ignore the rural market, your marketing strategy will not be a success. So that is it.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one more thing around this digital space. One thing which got missed out is the fact that who's the entire driver for this digital space. I personally believe it's the OEMs. I think OEM is the one who's actually drove down the entire market using the smartphones. I think they brought down the prices of the smartphones so low, and they've made the interface so intuitive that people are using it, and that's one of the drivers which is going to take it forward. And a lot of startup companies and app companies are actually tying back with the OEMs to ensure that it's actually embedded into their applications. So I think that's something which will be a key driver as well. So.
Okay, great. Prasanna, anything to add to finalize?
Yeah, there is one thing just I want to mention here. See, in digital world, we are not into manufacturing world now. So producing thing is not difficult now. But what problem we are facing is, if producing thing is not so different, it should not like that. We are getting various things, we don't have any standardization. So standardization is very much required wherever you can do it. Leverage technology, leverage digital marketing, digital thing, Because if you can produce it easily, doesn't mean that you are producing it very fast and making people annoying. Okay, things are not a standard. Means like yeah, product is good, but it's giving me means it's bringing me into different world. It's not looking like e-commerce site. So e-commerce site, make it as standard as possible. Replicate as Amazon. Put your uniqueness in different courses, but don't do like, okay, I will do look and feel will be different, user experience will be different. Don't do like that. In that way, digital world will not help you. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, great. So we have time for 3/4 of a question, I think. Anybody? No, we have time for questions, so we'll take a couple of questions. One here in the middle, first hand.
A very good afternoon to the entire panel. My question is that we see a lot of startups around, and these startups, by the nature of being a startup, cannot afford huge marketing budgets and mostly have to resort to digital marketing methods. So I would like to know the panel's opinion on how effective will the outreach of such a brand be when compared to a brand that is using traditional marketing methods?
You want to take that? Okay, let me repeat the question, which I think you said. How does a startup compete
a startup
in terms of
cannot-
marketing, given they have a different budget to brands who are established?
Yes, a startup will not be able to afford a huge marketing budget and will have to resort to free marketing methods or digital marketing methods. Whereas an established brand will use the traditional marketing methods like the print media or the mass media. So my question is, how effective will the brand outreach will be for such a brand that is using just the online method or the digital marketing method when compared to a brand that is using the traditional marketing methods?
Okay, thank you.
I share a couple of points on your question, which is a very pertinent question, specifically when everyone wants to be an entrepreneur and startup, specifically looking at digital world, they come up with apps. So first, if you've got less budget and you still want to sell, which everyone want to, the focus is organic traffic. Spreading the word through social networks is the most cost optimal way to spread a word. Two, what app you have and the utility of the application that it has is an important element to incrementally get more word of mouth praise. The app will run only if there's a word of mouth spread in the scenario when the marketing budgets are limited. Three, when you have limited budgets, the kind of campaigns that you do, the partners you select are not demanding a monthly guarantee or a minimum amount. They should be working with you on something called CPC, cost per click model, or cost per download model called CPD. So that allows you to find a partner who is doing the work with you on a specific model. Only when someone uses your app, you should be willing to pay them. That's an example for a startup approach. If you compare that to those who've got budgets, it's the question of scale. So from startup to scale up, those who put in money may not make money in the first year or third year or fifth year. But the propensity for them to make money sixth year in absolute terms will be multiple times higher. Traditionally, businesses, if I look at the 2014-15 balance sheets of some of these startups who grew well, all I can say is the ratio of net revenue to the cost of operations was in the ratio of 1:1400 and 1:1500. This is the level of investment that Silicon Valley has brought into India, and the marketing money is going in. That's what I have to share.
I'll just add to what he's saying. So the basic question that you asked, if I understand you correctly, is that traditional marketing is something which has been followed by the biggies, and therefore they have a larger say, right? So that's something they're stronger. So actually, I'll say it's the reverse. Actually, now they're feeling threatened because of the introduction of digital marketing, because now any startup can actually start becoming popular much more easily compared to the traditional way of marketing. So that's something which is completely reverse of what you're actually saying. The classic example is if you look at Collavery D, right? That has picked up much more popularity because it was introduced through the YouTube. And so as compared to some of the songs which are being played over the TV as well, right? So that's a classic example. So today, AIB is again another example where people are catching up because it's on the digital space. So.
I just want to add one more thing here. See, the basic fundamental approach is, first of all, you have to identify who's your target audience. Where will you find the target audience? Forget about traditional media and new media. You should know who's your target audience, who's going to consume your product. Why are they going to consume your product? How can you engage them? Then you think about the various options digitally available. Irrespective of the model as a CPC or CPA or whatever, that's not important. The most important thing is how can you reach out to the customer at the right time, right place, right environment. There are n number of opportunities available in the digital medium which you can use without spending a single penny. I know at least 20 startups who are doing fantastically well. They've acquired over 1 million users without spending a single rupee. So it purely depends on how you're going to do your media planning and how you approach your user base. And to answer your other part, like the big guns, all big guns you're referring, they never advertise traditional way. Whether it's a Snapdeal, Flipkart, all these guys, they grew while spending money on digital. Now, once they reach to the saturated level in digital, they started advertising on the traditional medium like TV so that they can reach out to the pocket which are away from the digital space. Right? Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have time for
We
one
will
more?
just take one last question.
Good evening. Good evening
Hello, over there.
Good evening, panel. My question to you, to the panel, is that somewhere we are comparing the digital media, digital advertising, and the mass media. Don't you, what would be your perspective when it comes to the security of the personal data of the users? I mean, somewhere personal data of the security of the users are compromised in case of data advertising, because you mentioned that Facebook does the survey based on, what are the choices of the youth or age basis on that case?
Yeah, it's a valid question. I'll just take this question and probably pass it on to him. So it's a very valid question, and it's a concern which has been raised as well. So I can probably say it because there are a lot of organizations that approached us specifically for this around the security of the data. Because when you're actually sharing your information on the Facebook, right, so or any other platform, when you're actually doing certain activities, it's very difficult. It's a debatable question that whose data is it? Is it your data, or is it Facebook's data, or is it the operator data on which the entire thing is going through? Because everybody has got access to a part of the data, and who's the custodian of the data? It's a classic question that's been asked. But having said that, what they say is that anything which is publicly available as on today is something which is something which can be shared as on today. That's something which even the government is still trying to frame around the data security, because they've been talking about data security purely from a premise perspective. For example, if there is a data which is held for you on a KYC for Airtel, it has to remain within Airtel as well, because that's how you sign up. But in a social media space as on today, whatever is publicly available is something which can be consumed and used as on today. So they're trying to frame a security or a data security policy around that as well as a regulatory body. But having said that, today it's a gray area, and therefore the people are taking advantage of it to a large extent. Having said that, there are also consent. When you actually do a lot of sign up on any of these things, you'll actually see there's a lot of terms and conditions which are there. I'm sure you wouldn't have gone through it. But if you take up most of these applications, and if you've gone through the details of all these things, it actually talks about the fact that your location, your details, your information stored in your phone, as well as other things that you're chatting or using, can be consumed and can be used. So when you're signing it up saying, I agree to this, you're actually giving your consent to it. So yes, having said that, this is something which is there as a small part of the entire corner, and you'll be able to see it. That's where the policy is getting framed. So the same thing was happening in Telecom earlier also, where you're saying that any communication to the customer has to be clear, evident, and they'll have to actually give a consent after reading through it. This is something which they're trying to frame around the social media / e-commerce space as well. But right now, it is there technically because you're actually signing up to it, but there is still a lot of gray area around that.
Yeah, just to follow on, just following on. I think the issue is you have a social responsibility for your own data. I think that's the most important thing. Is you know what you want people to know about and what you don't want people to know about. There's some things which are publicly available. I think even Facebook has got on the bandwagon, and nowadays when you use the Facebook widget to log on to anything, you have a choice to what people can see. So when I use Facebook to log on to something, it now just says Doug Perris, male, over 21 years old. That's it. And I can, and everything else I can block. So you do have a choice. In other places, privacy acts in different countries make it pretty clear what is privacy and what isn't privacy. But I think the best thing is if you don't want people to know about you, then you have a choice. Anyone else?
So my last word is, if a product is great, it will not take your whole data in the starting. With minimal information, it will make you, first it will make you comfortable. Like Facebook, what it did. It didn't ask you what you like, what is your favorite movie, or what is your favorite hero. Now you are comfortably putting. Why? Because trust has been generated now. So first, if product is great, it will ask you for minimal thing. So product can recognize you, application can recognize you. Okay, you are that person. So it's like that. And after that, if trust is built, then you can take much data from them, and you can secure them also. So data security is concerned, but then if product is great, don't worry, it will take minimum data of yours, and if it's taking much data from yours, that means product is not yet matured. Product is not yet intelligent enough to recognize you uniquely. So that's the one thing.
Great.
See, I want to add one more thing here. When we talk about sharing the data can be shared by a couple of ways. Like one way, as my colleagues talked about, you are just giving your consent, okay? Or maybe you are filling up a form and giving your unique information like mobile number, date of birth, etc. and all. You have to be careful for that. You know, when you're doing a browsing on the Google or maybe Facebook or LinkedIn, your data is again getting shared with these companies. But you know, they do not disclose your identity. What they do, they put you in a bucket, like you say, this is a female. They may not know the age group unless and until you have done some activity which reveals your age. This is the female from Pune, does this activity. Anybody who wants to target this kind of audience, they will showcase the ad to this audience. What you have to be very, very careful when you are giving a consent while signing up somewhere, whether filling up some information or ticking the checkbox and saying, I am accepting the condition. You have to be careful there. Rest, most of the places, their data is pretty secure, actually.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, dear panel members, for such enlightening and stimulating session. I now invite my colleagues to felicitate our esteemed dignitaries with mementos as a token of our gratitude and appreciation. We thank our panel members to have joined us and would request them to kindly take their seats amongst the audience.